Sultans in the Ottoman Empire loved to eat. In the 15th century, Topkapi Palace boasted a kitchen staff of 100 people, a number that grew to 500 during the 16th century reign of Suleiman the Magnificent. Before 1600, the kitchen staff topped 1,000 people who were all dedicated to creating the confections, drinks, and elaborate meals eaten by the Sultan. Ottoman sultans prized expensive luxuries that expanded beyond the Ottoman harems and into their kitchens as well. They stocked their pantries with ground orchid and other exotic spices, and imported ingredients from across their massive empire and from neighboring territories, including the Persian Empire and China. Sultans were also secretive about what they ate. Imperial cooks were forbidden from writing down recipes. The Sultan didn't want to share his culinary secrets with anyone else. While some popular Ottoman dishes, such as Turkish coffee and Bayclaver, are still mainstays in Turkish cuisine, others are harder to reconstruct. In spite of the Sultan's secrecy, many foods and beverages popular with Ottoman rulers can still be found on the streets of Istanbul today, over a century after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. These foods help Turkey rank among the countries with the best food, and are mainstays in Turkish culture. Number 10. Bayclaver. The Ottoman sultans had their own confectionery kitchen that whipped up treats for the palace. The kitchen specialized in sweets, jams, juices, and syrups. And Bayclaver was one of the most luxurious desserts. While Bayclaver dates back thousands of years, at least to the ancient Assyrians, the Ottomans perfected it. At Istanbul's imperial palace, the kitchen baked delicious Bayclaver treats. In 1473, a kitchen notebook recorded the making of Bayclaver. For centuries, only the wealthy could afford it. Even today, Turks sometimes use the expression, "I am not rich enough to eat Bayclaver every day." The time-consuming dessert is made from paper-thin pastry layered with nuts and honey. Number 9. Donna Kabab. Turkish kebab has a long history, and legends tell of Turkish warriors eating grilled meat off their sabers. Sultans also enjoyed a good kebab, including the 19th century Sultan Abdulaziz, who ordered takeaway kebab from a famous kebab house near his country lodge. Today's most famous Turkish kebab is Donna Kabab, which was probably developed in the 19th century. The grilled meat is shaved off a vertical rotisserie. Ottomans ate the meat much like a Greek gyro or Arab shawarma, both of which are dishes derived from the Ottoman invention. Number 8. Sherbet. Ottoman sherbet isn't exactly the rainbow sherbet you might remember from childhood. Instead, the Ottomans drank sherbet, which they created from crushed fruit mixed with herbs and flowers. The sweet drink was popular before and during meals as a refreshing treat. One recipe called for syrup made from quince, apple, pear, peach, and apricot, which was then combined with iced spring water. In fact, Turkish sherbet was often translated into English as syrup, since Ottomans mixed the fruit syrup with water, ice, or snow to create delicious treats. Number 7. Börek. Since at least the days of Mehmet the Conqueror in the 15th century, Ottoman sultans dined on börek. Still popular today, the flaky, savory pastry comes in triangles, crescents, or squares, and is filled with ingredients like lamb, cheese, or vegetables. Over 500 years ago, Mehmet dined on borik filled with chicken. Other sultans may have eaten borik with many different kinds of imported ingredients. For example, during a diplomatic banquet in 1649, the Ottoman Sultan served borik filled with mincemeat, dried apricots, dates, and chestnuts. Number 6. Tea. While the Ottomans loved coffee, tea has a shorter history in the country. The Ottomans learned about tea from China, naming it Kayi after the Chinese word for tea. In the late 19th century, an Ottoman governor promoted tea's health benefits. Around the same time, the Ottomans tried to grow their own tea, which didn't catch on until after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Ottomans brewed tea in the Russian style, using a multi-layered pot to boil water and create an intense, concentrated drink. Drinkers can dilute the strong tea with water. Today, Turks drink their tea with a cube or two of beet sugar, mellowing the strong flavor. Number 5. Pilaf. Pilaf dates back to at least 1404, when the Turco-Mongolian Emperor Timur served rice prepared in several ways at a banquet. By the 16th century, Turkish varieties of pilaf were served in Iran. Rice pilaf was a staple of Ottoman cuisine, and it especially caught on in the Persian Empire, which was often a rival of the Ottomans. An Ottoman traveler in the 17th century marveled at the 40 different kinds of pilaf made into pies. Number 4. Celeb. The Ottomans loved to drink celeb, a warm, milky beverage made from ground orchids. Ottomans ground the dried roots of wild Anatolian mountain orchids to create celeb flour, the main ingredient in the drink. They then mixed celeb flour with milk, rose water, and sugar. The end result was a sweet, luxurious beverage. Celeb flour was so popular that the Ottomans added it to their confections, including ice cream, in part because celeb was considered an aphrodisiac. Number 3. Dolma Sarma. The Ottomans loved stuffed dishes. An entire genre of Ottoman cooking focused on dolma sarma foods. One 1539 meal featured stuffed slow-roasted goose and almond pilaf in a flatbread wrapper. When the Turks conquered Constantinople in 1453, Sultan Mehmet discovered his love of dolma, or vegetables stuffed with meat. At first, the dish only appeared on the Sultan's plate, but the trend quickly spread. The Ottomans also learned to wrap vegetables, spices, and rice in grape leaves, which they called sarma after the wrapping process. Number 2. Bread with the chickpea cinnamon spread. The Ottoman imperial palace had its own ovens to bake bread. The Ottomans saw bread as a staple, baking at least 46 types of bread. A popular kind was called hazikmk, a soft, white bread sprinkled with seeds. Kitchen records show that bakers sometimes added fennel juice to the dough, and Mehmed the Conqueror dined on bread with melted animal fat. In the 15th century, the Ottomans dipped bread into a chickpea spread made with cinnamon, pine nuts, and currants, thought to be the ancestor of hummus. Number 1. Turkish coffee. Ottoman sultans had a love-hate relationship with Turkish coffee. In the 16th century, a governor from Yemen introduced the beverage to Sultan Suleiman, who quickly became a fan. The bitter, thick drink was incredibly popular in Istanbul and across the Ottoman Empire until a 17th century sultan, Murad IV outlawed coffee. Murad declared it an indecent drink, threatening to take the heads off any coffee drinkers.